Hello, everybody. My name is Mike DeMario, and I want to welcome you to the latest episode of My Life with Asperger's. This episode, I want to talk about what you do when you lost your job. I know losing a job is not a pleasant conversation piece, but everyone probably has been through it, and if you don't do very well in your job, you're going to be going through it. So I know that I don't like to talk about it, but it has to be done because I know that the economy is not doing good, and it could be like any day now. Anybody could lose their jobs. So, you know. Now losing a job is not a good thing. I know. I have dealt with this before, this issue, back in '03, which was 8 years ago. 2003, I mean. So now I was working at Six Flags New England, and something happened where they couldn't let me keep my job still. They had to get rid of me. They had to fire me, terminate me, whatever. Now, it was a situation that happened that I couldn't handle, you know. Now, when I did get terminated, my mom did go over to the area there, not the work area, but like the school, the special needs office over at the school, because she was trying to figure out could Six Flags New England do this, and they said yes, they can. So I tried fighting for my job back, and I couldn't get it. Now, a company, in order to terminate you, need to need to provide you with a valid reason why they need to terminate you. Now, if it's because of your disability or race or age, if that's the reason, that is not a good reason. You have the right to fight them back, if you know what I mean. You do have the right, because if it is against that, if it's against those issues, then you can you can report them to the EEOC with no problem. If it is that. Now, here's a tip for you. Now, if you do lose your job, don't try to contact your supervisors that you had. Don't try to contact the place of business that you worked at. Don't try to do anything crazy like that. Don't try to go over there and say hey, and don't try to be friends with them. Don't try to talk to them. Don't get in their way, you know? I tried doing that when I lost my job at Six Flags, and it didn't work out. They told me to stop, or the next step would be behind bars someplace. So, you know what I did? I stopped. There was no business for me to try to contact them, because if I did, I'd be in trouble, and I can't afford to be in trouble, you know? So, anyways, another tip is, if you do lose your job, don't worry about it, other than, yeah, you might be upset that you do, but look for a newspaper, look for Career Builder, look for Monster, you know, There's some good internet tools, and there's good newspaper tools, and then maybe there'll be a good job in there for you. But for an autistic person, or a person with Asperger's, no, if you do lose your job suddenly, then it's going to be hard to get adjusted to life without a job, and you'll feel depressed, and but don't worry, just pray to God, and there'll be hope at the end of the tunnel. You'll find another job. It took me 5 months from the time I was terminated over at Six Flags New England before I found another job over at Domino's Pizza, where I worked before working at Disney. And it turned out to be a great move for me to work at Domino's because I met some great friends over there. But yeah, during those 5 months, my life was driving me nuts, Well, I was in the age there, and I was still going to high school when I lost my job. And yet, when I got my new job, I was just entered college. So, I was looking forward to a graduation from high school in June. And I was looking forward to a trip down to Disney World in Florida. Yes, I did make a trip down to Disney World with my parents and my sister. And my sister did graduate from college on the same year that I graduated from high school. So my parents got me and my sister and took a trip down to Disney and Universal. All that for a family vacation. And I had a blast. Well, anyways, I had stuff looking forward, like going to high school and graduating and having all the high school activities, and then September came and going to college for the first time, But yeah, I also lost my grandmother 3 weeks before I started my job with Domino's. And it's sad. Can you do about it? Anyways, losing a job is not a good thing. I know. I already said. Anyways, but there is hope. You can still find that new job. I forgot to mention too, you should register with someone like a vocational rehab place or one of those places, because they'll accept your disability and they'll help you find a job. I went to Mass Rehab when I was going to college. Well, that's Massachusetts program for the rehab place there, And they were able to help fund my schooling. Now, when I moved down here to Florida, I went over to vocational rehab, and they're going to help me find a job, hopefully real soon. I haven't met with my counselor since October, but I'm going to try to make an appointment so that I can see where my case is, and we'll figure it out from there. I'm still searching for a job. Even though I have a job, I'm still searching for one. Now, there might be someday that I might lose a job. So, again, but unlike when I lost my job at Six Flags, I'm not going to do what I did over there if I ever lose a job with Disney or whatever. I'll just stay away from that place and be calm and try to look for another job, I am going to keep my job until I find another job, I am a good hard worker. Now, here's your tip. Here's another tip for you. And I told this to a person today. one of my coworkers. Just as long as you're doing your job, and just as long as you're doing it well, they will not bother you. You know, the managers will not bother you. The coordinators will not bother you. Just as long as you do a good job, wherever, if you're working hard and you do a good job and whatever, they'll leave you alone. They'll, instead of commenting you negatively, they'll comment you positively. They'll comment you very well. You know, you'll get awards and all. But I mean, yeah. But yeah, also, if you do make a mistake on a job, it's not the end of the world. I know that some people think, okay, I made a mistake, but depending on how big of a mistake it is, if it's small, you know, it's okay. If it's a big mistake, then you could be losing your job. So, I mean, be perfect while you work. Don't make a mistake. Because if you make a mistake, they're going to catch on and probably get you terminated. Or you'll lose your job. You can't afford to lose your job, you know? Especially me, since I'm living alone. And away from my mom and dad. But I don't live at home anymore. So I gotta support myself. Now, that's the other problem. If you do live by yourself, and let's say you did lose your job, then how are you going to support yourself and whatever? If you have money in your bank account, you'll do fine. If you don't have money in your bank account, then you have to ask for help. Like, I'm probably going to have to if I ever lose my job, because I know my mom and dad have been helping me, but there's going to be a time that they're not going to be able to help me out no more on money. They need to save money for their retirements too, so it's a tough thing to do. It's a tough world that we live in, but just as long as you do your job perfect, you should be fine. You should keep your job and everything. You shouldn't have to worry about losing your job. The people that should be worrying about losing their jobs are people that have been doing things wrong, been doing things bad. If they get in a tuffle with their supervisors, whatever, if they get in arguments, if they don't like their supervisors, or if they think their supervisors are mean to them, those are the types of people that should be worrying about losing their job. So, hopefully nobody loses their jobs. The job is an important thing to have in life. Hopefully no one loses it. You know? But, like I said, we can't control life. Well, we can control our own, but we can't control everybody else's life, you know? It's a topic, like I said earlier. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you later on for other episodes of My Life with Asperger's. Goodbye for now.